Right.
I'm awake.
I am as well. I'm boiling today. Absolutely, it is ridiculous how hot it is at the moment. I mean, not for what you guys are suffering with, of course,
We,
but
we, we've had a pretty hot one
yeah. No,
overall.
I've been seeing all the old stuff going on, brother. It looks absolutely horrific.
Yeah, there's like storms left, right, and centre. There's like
If it's not a major storm blowing through Australia, it's that you're peaking out at 43 degrees in some random part of it. It's like, can it make its mind up?
or
Just
it's like
one
or
or
it's
the
like
other.
and well, you haven't had this in a while, bushfire. You're like, thanks.
Is the bushfires as well? I haven't heard the bushfires.
Yeah,
Jesus,
there's a couple of bushfires
yeah.
as well. Like nothing major, just some bushfires.
Dorks Down Under.
No worries. Anyway, hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Dogs Down Under, Season 4, Episode 4. I'm going to be able to track these and get these all right this year. This is my major little life goal this time with the podcast. We want to say a big thank you. Please make sure you do like, share, subscribe. You can see, obviously, all our podcasts available on Spotify as well as YouTube, and you can see our beautiful faces there as well. We also should be available on all good podcasting platforms, so please make sure you do like, share, comment, and everything else. And it all helps all the various algorithms. In saying that, this week we're going to be discussing Star Trek 31, Section 31, said Star Trek 30, Section 31.
Section 31,
and
yeah.
our thoughts and feelings on the matter, because I have opinions.
Yes. I mean, I must say for this
big
film,
opinions.
for this
I
film,
even consulted one of my best friends in the UK, who's a Trekkie, like a massive Trekkie nerd, loves Star Trek, all about it. I said, "Question: Have you seen this?" He went, "Yes." I was like, "Oh!" I immediately knew from the word "yes"
yeah.
that I was going to get a very big opinion piece from him. So
Like,
anyway,
I'm not the biggest Star Trek fan. I have watched a few here and there kind of things. Like, one of my old housemates, Big J, was a massive one to the point where, when we got like, I don't know, in Australia we got like, we were going into a recession and whoever it was, the president at the time said, we're going to give everyone $900 so that as a boost to this, that and the other to help with living costs and whatnot. So that's what he did. And Big J literally just went and spent it all on DVD. So he managed to get like all the Star Trek ones, all the Godzilla films that he was missing because he's a massive fan of Godzilla's. Like I'm talking like from back in the day. And I'm like, that's what you're going to buy. And he's like, yeah. And then he sat there and watched it. And I know when I used to come back from nightclubs, I think it was the one with Janeway.
Oh, Voyager.
Voyager, yeah, that was always on because it was on at like 4 a.m. So when I got home from work, I'd watch it.
Voyager was a solid one out of. In fact, I'm sure we'll get around to ranking Star Trek. I
haven't seen enough of them to.
I already know this. Anyway, before we get to that, I wanted to ask how's your week been? You been having a good time?
Yeah, no. So last weekend on the Saturday, we got all the landscaping done. He was meant to come back to. I think it was today. I think it was Friday. He was going to do the grass, but then unfortunately, because for some unknown reason, I don't know why, but Bunnings is the ones that stock the grass, and they only get in a pallet twice a week. But he can't ring. Like he's a landscaper.
Yeah.
He's like, if I ring my guys, I'm going to have to get like 10 pallets. Like if I know that I can use that in a whole week, I'd probably do that. But if not, I have to go to Bunnings. And I was like, cool, whatever.
Yeah.
But Bunnings only has 2 pallets, but you can't hold it. So he can't ring up and be like, oh, bro, can you hold this for me? It's like, no.
Yeah. No, well, obviously, if they had a personal relationship with the manager or something like that, then they probably could. But yeah,
well, he
might have been worth him actually contacting the manager and say, listen, I need 10 pallets of this.
He doesn't even need 10 pallets. He literally needs 70 rolls, according to him.
Okay. Yeah, but that's what he said. So if he literally contacted him and said, listen, I've got a guaranteed sale of 70 rolls, can you order in an extra 2 pallets and put one aside, or put a pallet aside for me, and, which would have helped.
And he has claimed that he's tried that, but he's just like, oh no, it's first come first.
Why would Bunnings turn down free money? This is the problem.
Because at the end of the day, too, though, is if they keep that need wanting, they can just keep turning it around. So it's nice and easy for them. They're always going to get money.
No, God forbid. Absolutely not. But yeah, so well, I'm glad you got the recycling done, landscaping done. I must say it's I originally, so for the folks at home, obviously I messed up on the schedule ever so slightly. Apologies, but the videos are all back up on proper time now. So it's all fixed. It's all fixed. But we missed a week on recording because last weekend I was away with the wife for a long weekend in Tauranga, which was beautiful. Obviously I go to Tauranga for work, and I normally stay on the Mount. So we actually stayed in the CBD, which was lovely. And well, as you can imagine, two parents who obviously have a lot of responsibilities between our two furry children and our real child, and our work.
So three furry children.
Yes, our three little babies, and everything else. We kind of went off the rails a little bit on the Friday night, and. It's like, right, we are responsible. I'm about to be 40 this year. My wife's in her 40. You just know that this is, we don't do the wild nights out anymore. Okay, that's not what we do. Okay, but that's what happened. All right. So basically, we started off mixing shots. There's cocktails.
Oh God.
We ended up. Basically, we used to do this thing years ago when we used to go out. We never used to go if we didn't know where we wanted to go for dinner. Like say, I fancy X or whatever.
Yeah.
Basically, we'd end up going, you know what? We're here. I'm just going to have a look at the menu. Oh, this has got a nice starter. So we'd have a starter in Pub X.
Oh, really?
Bar X. And then, you're a couple of things down. Then you're hungry again. It's like, oh, maybe a main. So,
that is the most random but kind of awesome thing ever.
It is. And I'll tell you one thing, we got to experience, which is potentially the best Kiwi ingenuity idea I've ever heard of. All right? So we're at this bar, highly recommended, it's like 4.5 stars for food and drink on Google and TripAdvisor. We're like, okay, let's try that. They had a starter, and we had this garlic bread, but it's not just garlic bread. It's this miniature loaf, sliced up. It's got garlic butter dripping all over it. But they've also put olive oil and balsamic vinegar spread on the top and then baked it. So it's like having your balsamic olive oil dip, but already on the bread.
Okay.
And it was genius. But that wasn't the mind-blowing bit. The mind-blowing bit was the dumplings we had.
What, with the garlic bread?
Yeah. So we had garlic bread was a little thing, and then there was these dumplings, and we only ordered these dumplings because it was prawn dumplings in a butter essentially an Indian butter sauce,
like a ghee kind of.
No. So imagine you've took your butter chicken sauce, right? Your bog standard jar, right? Imagine that, and then imagine adding a bit of coconut cream or milk they've added to make it a bit Thai-ish, and then you've got prawn dumplings in there. And dear Lord, it was good. We would literally once the dumplings are gone, we were just getting the bread and we were just slavering on this sauce. It was.
That sounds so fucking random.
It is, but I tell you what, you have it. You're like, why have I never considered putting butter chicken sauce on anything other?
Why haven't I decided to desecrate multiple people's?
Listen, right? Okay, somebody had the idea, and it wasn't me. Okay, so I can't be held responsible for that person's idea, but it was bloody good and it bloody delicious. I'll tell you that right now.
It's just so random.
We ended up ended up having this amazing brownie dessert over another bar, and we didn't actually end up with them in, but basically we ended up finding this live music bar. So we're sitting there, we're outside, we're enjoying ourselves, we're all joining in. It's a big rock band, and we're having a good time. And then next thing I know, I'm like, what time is it? Oh, they're kicking us out. Oh, it's midnight. Cool, great. Well, let's start walking back. That was the plan. As we walk back, there's another live band going on, and they're still going. And it's like, oh, well, do you fancy going? No, we'll have what was the phrase we said? Oh, we'll have one swift one. One swift one for the road. Yep.
7 hours later.
One swift one turned into 3 shots. 3 shots and several random mixer drinks and a cocktail.
Oh, God.
And we finally left at about, I think it was 1:30 in the morning. We left.
Jesus Christ.
I remember getting to the hill where the hotel was, and then I'm waking up, because luckily our room had 2 beds. So I woke up, passed out, face down on the one I designated mine, and I'm like, this is at 9 in the morning. I'm like, oh, God. And then I was like, good morning. I said, morning, have you been up long? She went, no, and I'm feeling just as bad as you. And I went, okay. I said, question, where did you get to? And she went, I remember doing the key card on the door to let us in, And then the next thing I know is I'm speaking to God on the porcelain telephone at about 3 a.m. And I was
Nice.
like, right, good. So I was like, okay. And I said, well, that's not too bad. She went, no, that's not the worst bit. And I said, what's the worst bit? She went, I locked myself in the bathroom and couldn't work out how to get out. And I went, okay. So do I want to know how I'm talking to you in your bed? If you said you locked yourself in the bathroom, did not get out? She went, I may or may not have brute forced my way out. I don't know if the lock is fucked or not. I was like,
oh shit.
God, right. You know when it's like this is a lot of information for the first 10 minutes while my head is banging.
Yeah.
This is not the right moment. So I went and tried it. Luckily, I worked out it's just a weird lock. So you press down on the top and it locks. And there's a little button underneath, you got to press up to unlock. So thank God the door lock wasn't busted. Right? But we were very dusty that morning.
It reminds me sometimes when like I wake up like on a Sunday because I normally sleep in on a Sunday. But then that being said, quite often Cherish comes and wakes me up and I'm like, because she wants to do something or she decided, I'm like, okay, cool. But what ends up happening is she wakes me up and then she talks to me about everything she wants to do or some things she's learned or some error freaking thing that she's said to me. And I'm like, and then she's like, I told you that an hour ago. I'm like, I wasn't even awake an hour ago. Like, see how I've got coffee in my hand? Wake now.
Yeah.
But I'm wow, this is just too much information for one person.
It was just one of those things of right. And so we ended up going for breakfast. Thank God we found this bar that was open and we could get Ellie got like essentially a full English.
Nice.
I had steak and eggs. All right, it was on the breakfast menu. I had steak and eggs. And I tell you what, that thing went down. Thank God that thing went down well.
Didn't we have steak and eggs when you were here for the Magic thing? In that, remember
we did. Yes, no, we did. We were into the GP tournament. We were at the casino. And we had breakfast there. Yeah. We had steak and eggs there. Hey, there's nothing wrong with a good steak and egg breakfast. In my opinion.
I must say it was the first time I'd seen it, but I was like, that kind of sounds cool.
Well, I think it's officially called the lumberjack. It's like I think in America they call it the lumberjack breakfast, where you have steak and eggs. Steak and eggs as a sandwich.
It makes sense because they go out and then they absolutely like destroy their bodies by just working their butts off.
They pile on a lot of calories and then they're out for the day, burning all that shit off. But then that so the Saturday, so we're a very dusty all day. You know, we're suffering quietly and crack on. Hydrating, of course, it's boiling hot and the sun is shining because whenever you've just slightly got a bit too far the night before, I always find that the great spaghetti monster in the sky likes to make sure the weather is absolutely blinding the next day, and you're like, oh God, kill me. So, but we went on a beer boat cruise that on the Saturday night.
Oh, is this what? Yeah, because when you said you went, I had a big night. I had a bar boat cruise. I was like, what the hell?
Oh, I'll tell you what, it was all right. I think we only paid. I think it was like it's 100. I think it was like $150 each. And essentially, we were getting on board. We were getting at the time they advertised it was like 4 rounds of beer, like craft beer and barbecue, and we get to go around the bay area. So you're out for a couple of hours, and it's like £150, and I'm getting beer. Fabulous, it's great. We're having we'll have a good time, and we get to see the sunset and everything else. It was lovely, and they had live music on as well, so we knew that at the time. Basically, the day before they announced that there was going to be four rounds of beer, a mystery round if you wanted to partake, and obviously they announced the food and who they were having music and all that jazz. And we're like, sweet, great. Now we're getting 5 rounds of beer. Fabulous.
Oh God.
So our first one was there was a hazy. Then there was an IPA, which was lovely. Both of them absolutely fine. Not very much in my wheelhouse. The Pilsner, that thing just glides down your throat. I actually talked to the guy about it. I said, seriously, this is dangerous. He said, oh yeah, I designed this for my best friend's wedding.
Oh God.
I said, did you design it so you could get him mullered before the speech? He went, yeah, pretty much. He admitted that he said, I said, honestly, I find it deadly when I know I have a full keg of it in wherever I'm at, and I've just mowed the lawns, and I'm like, oh God, yeah, I can imagine.
Jesus Christ.
It glide down. So, and the fourth beer was a beer that I would never ever order. It's because I don't do sour beers. I like sour. I like sour flavors, but I've never had a good sour beer experience. Okay,
yeah.
They're always either too sour or they're too fruity, and it's just no. So I've tried this one. I thought, right, okay, I'm just gonna sip it. Let it see how it goes. Oh my God, it tasted just like someone had took really super fresh orange juice, so a bit bitterish and all that.
Yeah.
Then put Sprite in it, and it was just like really super concentrated, called like Robinsons and lemonade. It was weird, and I was like, oh, it's quite nice. I could actually drink that, and we we're having a chat about it. But the weirdest one of the night was the mystery round. So it was a smoked peach and apricot sour beer. So it's been smoked, okay?
Yeah.
Okay. You know, we've broken through the wheelhouse of sour beer. Let's have another shot. So I get this thing. She pours it out of this can. So they're serving it in big cans, and she pours me about, say, half a cup. Put my nose on it. Oh my god, it is like my brisket. I could the smoke in it just from smelling it, and I'm like, hang on, this has come out of a can. How have they achieved that? And so I'm smelling it, and I'm like, okay, all right, that's quite strong. It's going to be interesting. I took a sip, and I tell you what, the one flavor profile that is all I could taste was it was like I was drinking bacon. Or as Ellie put it, she went, "Why does it taste like I'm drinking rashers? Like bacon, like imagine having bacon crisps."
Yeah.
In liquid format. It was the weirdest thing I've ever drunk. It was strange. I just was like, my mind was like, I don't know if I like it. Ellie said, actually, Ellie brought up a good point. She went, actually, right, imagine you're having this beer, Jordan. Imagine that we had like a charcuterie board.
Oh.
And I was like, oh, yes, now maybe I could have it. So my brain was like, oh, maybe we could work it. but it was the weirdest thing. But then literally once they served that final one, they said, right, great, the bar's open and we're on our way back at this point. So we've got about 40 minutes till we land. Come drink as much as you want. Which
come drink as much as you want.
Free beer. I think I drunk him out of the Pilsner. I think I did.
Come drink as much as you want to the Northerner. Like that's just dangerous.
There was the funny thing was, it was only like me and Ellie were really, really like raking it in, shall we say? Because lots of people decided that they were done with beer and they were going to pay extra to have like normal mixer drinks on the boat bar. And they were honestly, a glass of wine was like $12. A small glass of wine was $12. It was an absolute rip-off.
At that point too, though, you're just like, bro, just suck it up and let's just go for a drink.
I thought, which idiot is saying, you know what? I'll happily spend $12 when there's free beer. Free beer. I was mind boggled. I was like, fine, I'll have your share. I don't care. I think I must have like had, I reckon, probably about a good 2 liters worth of beer on the entire boat boat journey for over 3 hours. Whole thing. But yeah, it was good, my brother. It was good.
it just feels a bit weird too, though, to be like you're coming on a beer tour, so which means chances are you're drinking beer, and then to go, now that the beer's done, rather than take the generous offer of drinking all the free beer, I'm gonna have a glass of wine. You're like, that doesn't sound like it's gonna go well.
Yeah. I know. It was strange. It was mind-boggling to me, sort of thing. I was just like, nah. I just couldn't get round it. My brain just couldn't get around it. Why they're wasting the money? But anyway, that was it. But when we got back, it was like 9 o'clock at night. So we ended up going for one more drink, and then I was like, right, we had a heavy night last night. Let's just go back. Let's have a bit of an earlier night tonight. And although it was funny because as we walked out of the bar, we heard more live music down the way, and I was like, oh, we could. I went, don't do it. If we do, you know what's going to happen. And then we're going to have to get kicked out of the hotel at 10 a.m. because we're both dying.
Yeah, that's not good.
Let's not do it. And she was a bit gutted. But then, of course, the next morning she was like, I think it was a really good idea that you reined us both in last night. I said, no, I didn't rein us both in. I reined you in. You know?
Yeah.
But yeah. So anyway, I had a fantastic weekend. So I spent my week actually sleeping off and getting back to normal settings.
It's kind of funny because I did know that you weren't doing the greatest, shall we say, when I spoke to you.
Literally, when we got back, because in fact we stopped on the way back. We stopped by the cider factory.
Just one drink.
Yeah. We stopped by the cider factory on the way back and had lunch, and a delicious place for lunch at Tapuna. It was fabulous. We were overlooking the bay. In fact, we could see where we turned round to come back and stuff, which was quite cool. And yeah, we just ended up sort of stopped there, got some fresh ciders, got back, and literally I think I waltzed in the door at like 2:30, and I thought I better text you to say if you want to do it, we can. But I've got back and I'm knackered.
Yeah.
And you just said we've just finished all the landscaping. I'm knackered too. And great deal, right? Wherever we
Yeah.
go, there we go. Deal, we're off.
So yeah,
Not gonna
it
fight
was
you
kind
on
of
this one.
golden, which is kind of good. Yeah, nah.
Yeah, it
I knew
was.
I knew you were gonna, shall we say, push it quite hard, but I didn't realize it's going to be quite be that hard.
Oh yeah, no, we went a bit. Yeah, we went a bit insane. But I'm pretty sure it was purely down to us just realizing, oh, we can just be help. We can be us again. We don't have to be mum and dad anymore for a couple of nights.
I must say though, when mum and dad come down from the UK, or when one of the parents are down, you guys take full advantage of it, don't you?
Hey, listen, we make it abundantly clear, all right, that part of the deal for boarding and for housing and lodge is you are doing babysitting duties. Okay, it is part of the package.
That's all right.
Okay.
So obviously, if I ever come visit, me and Eddie are causing mischief together. You guys can go out and do your own thing.
Oh, you two can play on the PlayStation. You can game for the night. You can get pizzas in. You can do what you like. But I will be taking my wife out and away, possibly for a night.
I'm all good with that, man. I can muck around. I love Eddie. Eddie's great. Eddie's a great kid, man. I'll muck around with him anytime.
Absolutely. Right. Anyway, that's enough of me ranting on about my indulgent
Drunken
lifestyle.
escapade, shall we say?
Drunken escapades. Yes. Let's discuss Star Trek Section 31 because, oh boy, I've got some opinions on this.
Yeah. So I will preface this by saying that when it comes to Star Trek, I don't have a massive knowledge. Obviously, I've watched a few here and there. I've watched a lot of them out of order. Like, it's not like it's something that I know heaps about. So I went into this obviously not a fan or not, because I know sometimes when I talk to people and I'm like, I really liked Voyager, because pretty much that's what I've watched the most of. Quite often it's just like people rag on it, and some people think it's great. Other people are like, why it's so bad? Like, why would you like that one kind of thing? And I'm like, okay, cool.
Yeah. The first thing I will say is, obviously, if anyone hasn't watched Star Trek Discovery, you can, because this is essentially follows on from that TV series.
Oh, does it? Because I haven't actually watched that. I'm like,
yeah, it does follow on, but you can kind of watch this because they do give you a decent enough opening recap, essentially, to get you up to. You don't need to be up to speed, but it gives you enough of an understanding of the main character in this. So it's kind of fine.
okay, yeah, because I went into this not knowing anyone, so yeah. I do think. Is there only 5 seasons of Discovery?
Yes, yeah. I think it's only 5 seasons. Yeah, something like that.
I know I watched half the first season just because Doug Jones was in it, and I have the biggest man crush on Doug Jones. The man is an absolute legend, like to the point where I met him once at one of these conventions, and I'm like, "Do you mind if I get a photo with you?" And his handler said, "No, I'm not allowed." And it had happened to me once before when I met the guy that plays Spike, James Masters.
Yep.
So, and he's just like, just FYI, if your friends take a photo and I just happen to look up while I'm signing and you happen to be facing the camera, that's fine. And I've got a photo of him kind of like, he looks like he's writing, and he's just like, where Doug Jones is like, and Doug Jones is like, no, if they want a photo, they can take a photo. And then he actually got up on the table, put his arm around me and took a photo with us and stuff. One of the nicest guys. I chatted to him for like about 40 minutes, which I probably shouldn't have, and got in massive trouble from his handler. But at the time, nobody knew who he was, because I think he's probably the most famous man that nobody knows what he looks like.
Yeah. No, it's... I have to say, Discovery was one of those series because, occasionally me and Ellie, because as I say, we enjoy the Orville and stuff like that. So we started watching Discovery, and we thought the season 1 was good. We liked some of season 2. Season 3 was a bit new. Season 4, we were like, oh, it's getting better. And then season 5 was a bit hit and miss, because they're suddenly in the far-flung future, and it's a bit weird.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So they start off at hang on. Well, Star Trek is all in the far-flung future. But anyway, all right, it's like... So Discovery starts off with they're following... Oh, what is it? Is it pre-Picard? I think it's pre-Picard. It's about there-ish sort of thing. And then suddenly They are is that they're following on like that quite well, and then suddenly they go into the far off future, to escape a bad guy. But yeah, it is a bit interesting. But I have to say, as I said, you don't need to have watched all of Discovery. It is helpful to understand a bit more about all the technology, because it's a bit. If you were to suddenly go from watching normal Star Trek and you skip Discovery and you watch Section 31, be like, Jesus, their technology's really advanced. If you hadn't have watched, you'd be like, wow, this seems a bit more advanced than normal.
Yeah.
Sort of thing. It would be a bit of a sort of, oh God, hang on a minute, because there is a lot of better tech at sections in the far-flung future. But no, all in all, for a start off, Michelle Yeoh, love her, fabulous, great actress.
I was so wrapped when I saw this. I saw this and I just went, oh cool, this is a new Michelle Yeoh movie. Then obviously I realized it was Star Trek, and I was like, I still think this would be good. I must say, though, one thing I did learn after it, looking into it, is that this was actually meant to be another TV series. Which, after
that's going to be one of my criticisms.
Yeah, after seeing it,
should have been a TV series, and they could have edited it a lot better if they had.
I must say though, it should have been, and when I read that, I'm like, this should have been a TV series. But supposedly after she won the Academy Award, they kind of went, well, let's make it a movie, because in that way, then it falls into that same thing. We've got an Academy Award winner in this movie, and I'm just like, and I do think that was probably one of their biggest mistakes.
Yes, that is the big problem with this entire. In fact, it is the big problem with this movie. The fact is that they've crammed too much. One of my things is that they're trying to cram too much in an hour and a half. For a start off, which is fine. If it was, say, a 4-episode, they could, if they were, say, spread out to even a 3-episode or a 4-episode thing, special one-offs as a test the water, would have been great, because they could have filled out a bit more and made it a bit more, because the pacing was all over the place. I found.
I agree with that.
I really struggled with the pacing of the movie for a start off. It was really getting on my tits, and I didn't like it. But all right, I'm going to address the big elephant in the room. Is what the problem with Section 31 is. It's not a Star Trek movie. It is Star Trek pretending to be Star Wars, is what the problem is. Because and it is, because the fact is that you've got the cantina, you've got all the outlawry stuff. It just doesn't work. It's not Star Trek. I get why they're trying to do it, because they say, no, this is Section 31. This is the dark side of the Federation, all that.
Yeah, it did kind of feel like the Mandalorian version of Star Trek.
Yeah, and it just... It's like, yeah, but it's Star Trek. We all understand, because I think Section 31 got introduced in Discovery. And then we were like, oh, okay, all right, there is a bit of a dark side. Okay, that's interesting. But no one's interested in that, because it's not Star Trek. It's like...
Yeah.
So basically, they're running undercover ops and doing stuff behind the scenes to try and stop fours. But that's not... Star Trek is all about the big ships turning up and Picard having his moment and... and all this chat, it's all about that sort of thing. That's what you want to see.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just I have a big problem that the fact is that this was pretending to be we are Star Trek. No, you're not. No, you're pretending to be Star Wars, and just admit it. It is. You saw the Mandalorian, you're like, ooh, we could do something like that. And it's like, nah, brother, nah, it doesn't work that way. We understand, but the fact is that Star Wars laid the groundwork from day one that the universe is at war.
But yeah, it is weird though, because I do feel like they tried to, they did the little bit where they obviously picked up Michelle Yeoh's character, then they went to the ships, but then they didn't. And I'm like, I don't hate what they were trying to do, because in a lot of it, it's very contained in this world and you don't get much of it. And then obviously they they stranded them on this little planet, which again puts them into this thing. But it just felt like, as you said, the pacing was horrible. It was rushed as hell. I think there was so many great concepts in it, and there were so many great things. Obviously, this looks after the more black market kind of outer rim of Star Trek. And I don't hate that they're trying to do it, because one thing I have watched about when I've watched bits and pieces of Star Trek is it does feel very samey, where it just seems like, oh, bro, we're just going to have a different crew but do the exact same things. And they just bounce from world to world and world, where I felt like if Section 37, if Section 31 had been them going to multiple outer worlds kind of esque, Orville would have been a much better way of doing it.
I think that's the thing. I think if say they had kept it as a TV series, right, and they're trying to stop the big overall things. They're trying to stop the super weapon. Fine, get that.
Yeah.
That's fine because they could have. Oh, we got information on Planet X, Planet Y, and they're to and from running ops and all that jazz. It would work, and we can all agree it would.
Yeah.
But the fact is that they kind of stranded it on this one planet, and it's like, oh, come on. It's like, come on. It's like, this is an episode of Star Trek. This isn't a movie. This is ridiculous. The fact is, to be fair, I have to say that have you seen the Rotten Tomato score?
No, I haven't actually.
All right, so Tomato Me is 17%, and the popcorn meter, so the fans, is 16%. You very rarely see
both of them. Yeah, hit the same.
How often is there an agreement between the fans and the critics on Rotten Tomatoes? The fact is that it just proves that everyone. Yeah. Here we go. Critics review. It's sloppy, misguided, and frankly rote. That's it. All the stuff with concepts that it only superficially explores. Yeah. Yeah, it's everything that we're saying. The problem is that they just... If they had made it a TV show, I'm not saying it would have worked, but it had a better chance of working as a TV show.
Yeah, and I think it was just, as you said, it was horribly paced. And I do think what was hard, though, is you felt like... I don't know, it just didn't feel like it had been completely thought out, which was kind of bad, because I'm just like... You've got these great actors. The characters I don't think were that bad, but you rushed through their backstory, which was also a little bit hard. But you're like, I understand that. These things happen. But because you've only got an hour and a half. But I'm like, why would you write this story and then go, let's change it into a movie? And rather than go, we may need to rewrite this, let's cut it up and just kind of go, here's the main point, let's only keep the main points. Because I do feel like if we were to get a director's cut, if we were to get that series, this thing would be a lot better. And it does make me sad because I would love to have seen this going, because I like this different take on Star Trek. Like, yeah, you're right, it is probably more Star Wars, but that being said, is that Star Trek, that kind of go into the ship, fight thing has been done to death. Like, to be fair, everybody I know says that Orville is what Star Trek should have been. It's funny, It uses humour, plus it also has these things. It doesn't take itself too serious, where now, because as obviously people mature and as we think, you tend to find they take themselves way too seriously now. It just doesn't feel like it's great, and you're just like, my God, please. But for some reason, it just feels more and more awkward, and I'm like, I would have loved for him to actually take this and run with it, but I don't know, it just feels...
While you've been chatting, I've actually just looked. I was actually just curious to see if it was the same creators/writers. Obviously. It's not. So, between Discovery and then this movie, it's completely different set of writers.
Yeah.
That's where the problem happens. And obviously, logically, we already know if the question was asked, did you watch any of Discovery? And they were like, no. So they got the cliff notes and it would be fine, and it's like that was probably what the problem is.
Yeah, but
it's not been.
But I think changing it from a TV series to a movie, and I'm guessing they've obviously done it because Michelle Hunt didn't win the Academy Award until obviously just recently. Like, it wasn't like it was like 18 months ago, which means that I'm scared. Did they film the TV series? And then did they go, oh, we should make this into a movie because she's Academy Award movie thing? And then chopped it together. Yeah. And what's sad too is she said, I'm willing to come back for a sequel if it does well. I've really enjoyed the characters. I like the idea of it. Let's do this. But I'm wondering, is this now going to ruin this whole Section 31 / new element? Because in theory, I don't get it, because you haven't done a film in 9 years. The Chris Pine one's actually quite good. Not the best. But
they're not the best. Not the best. And, and J.J. Abrams did mess with timelines and all, which is fine, because then we just say, oh, that's his little universe. That's how, we get around it.
But it was also a lot easier coming into that, than somebody that hasn't watched much of it to try to come into it. And with this, I'm like, okay, cool. Perfect, makes it a lot easier to come into. This is another one of those where I feel like this could be something where you kind of, if you don't know about Star Trek, helps welcome you in. So I think is a good way to keep it going. And also the anti-hero thing is like obviously quite powerful right about now. I'm like, why not try this? But it did just kind of feel like it was like, I honestly think they may have cut it together after doing all the filming. And like there was so many characters, wasn't many characters, but a lot of them just seemed thrown away even in general. Like the big mech guy just reminded me of like I've been lucky enough that back in the day I worked a lot on Kickstarter, obviously doing reviews and stuff, but it also allowed me to buy some movies. Where this guy just seemed like it was like this Kickstarter-esque armor.
Yeah.
With just this weird English accent that just didn't feel like it fit. And I mean, this guy is actually a pretty good actor. Like, he has been in World of Warcraft. He's been in Pacific Rim, Captain Marvel, and a few things. But I'm like, then in this as Seth, it just felt awkward. And and it was just like this, we need some kind of brutish character. We need somebody that's kind of got Borg-esque feel to it. Let's just do this dude that has nothing to him other than the fact that he's kind of the tank of the group, but just has nothing going for him.
Yeah, no, he felt immediately from introduction. Oh, so you're the red shirt guy. The fact that he didn't have a red shirt on, I was actually pleasant. I was disappointed in the fact that he wasn't showing with a red shirt on.
Yeah,
because it kind of felt like the way they just handled him. I was like, yeah, this guy's gonna die. Yeah, obviously he's gonna die. I was pleasantly surprised how long he lasted.
Yeah, but yeah, it just felt like it was just like. It felt like they were kind of pigeonholing the this kind of Borg-esque feel to it. Like they did find like they were trying to put in, we're not going to have them all human, but most of them look human. But then we'll kind of slot in these ones that can kind of appear human-esque into it. And it just felt like, where's the nuance? Like we had obviously we had Spock, which was that we had a whole heap of different characters and all the background kind of characters. Yeah, okay, you've done the alien thing. But it did kind of feel like there was no nuance to the characters. You rush through them, your backstory. Obviously, there's a little nod to previous 1970s Star Trek with Rachel, the Imperial chick that obviously she appeared in. I think I read that she appeared in her character appeared in like a 1969 film. So they've actually, that character has actually been in Star Trek before for 3 episodes or something. So they've kind of tried to tie her in by tying the Imperial in. And I just felt like, I'm like, this thing does have legs. Like, a lot of the stuff did seem like some of the characters were engaging. The bit at the very end when the guy comes back, but it's his wife, was a bit weird. But I'm like, all for it, whatever. But like, I'm just like, it felt like you've thrown away so many pieces of information that would have just helped the flow of this, where there was just no pacing. It was all just like, we need to get all this information out in an hour and a half, and it felt rushed as hell.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, I mean, so back, when they introduced the Terran Empire, which is the alternative timeline for Star Trek, in Enterprise, it was Enterprise. It was the prequel, essentially. It was the prequel to the original, essentially. And they introduced the Terran Empire in that, which is basically, so rather than the first contact happening all peacefully with the Vulcans, and blah, 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 that we get to see in, was it Star Trek 3 or Star Trek 4? One of the Picard ones. It was one of the Picard ones, I remember that.
Yeah.
Sort of thing. And they help out, I forget what his name is, but they help him out. And basically, it actually has that initial scene from the movie when the Vulcans come down the ship and they goes to shake hands, and the guy shoots him, and then they take over the ship, and then suddenly they become the Terran Empire from there, because then they start dominating and all that jazz, which is just ingenious. Because let's be honest, that's what the human race will do. If aliens were to waltz down to the planet today, then we're shooting them down, we take the technology, and we're going off. There's no such thing as peaceful content. We wouldn't do peaceful content.
No. But what I find weird too, though, is I could be wrong, but wasn't Michelle Huan in Discovery?
Yes, she was.
That's what I thought. I thought
she's playing the same character from. Well, no, sorry, yeah. So she was originally in the first series, and then she's the good captain in that, and she dies. But then she gets brought back later on because she's actually the Terran version of herself. So she's the evil version of herself.
That's what I thought. So they're kind of doing the whole like multiverse.
And it then turns out that she was actually the emperor of she was the emperor of the which actually goes back to Enterprise as well, because I think the Terran episode was like a 2-part or a 3-part. It was something like that, and it turns out that he's the comm girl, who's I forget her name now, who's Asian. She ends up taking over and becoming the first empress, and then it's kind of a bit of a callback to maybe it's a successional line and all that jazz.
Was she the same person, or is she just like we're doing the bullshit multiverse thing again?
No, it's not the same character from Enterprise to Discovery. It's not the same character. She becomes
from Discovery to Section 31.
Yes, but so Discovery to Section 31 is the same character, but not Enterprise to Discovery. But of course, we end up seeing the bullshit rule in this movie where it's like apparently they choose the next emperor based off of they get a whole corral of kids together and they go out and do the Hunger Games, and it's like it's like hang on a minute. Yeah, no, that's not the way an empire would work. An empire would have an heiress or an heir and all that jazz. And
then weirdly also then just go like, "Yep, you've killed everybody, you win." So you're now the emperor. I was like, but do they do training?
The only reason that would happen is if obviously that the current emperor or empress couldn't have children. That is the only logical thing that would happen. But it's a bit of a it just didn't make any sense to me.
I'm like, okay, cool, whatever. Like, it doesn't, whatever happens. But yeah, I mean, it did feel like, but yeah. So reading, there was something I just read that was just seemed a bit weird about it, where it does seem to be, it's originally designed as a TV series following Juan's appearance in Discovery. The global pandemic obviously delayed production. After that, the first season of Star Trek Strange World was prioritized. Section 31 was then redeveloped into a film and then originally officially announced in April of 2023. Which means that she would have won the Academy Award around about that time. So which means I'm wondering is if they've gone, yep, cool, let's change that.
Yeah.
But it just, I mean, I don't know, like I feel like it had legs if it was a series. I don't feel if as a movie we're ever going to see it again, which breaks my heart because I do think we could get some good stuff from it. But
logically, we know the Hollywood works on the numbers thing, and which is fine. There's nothing wrong with the numbers thing. But the fact is, if they are basing off the numbers, that there'll never be a sequel movie.
Yeah, but I mean, this is Paramount Plus, so you never know. And
it will depend. You know, maybe the Paramount might see, maybe they could get away with doing a TV show, maybe a spin-off or something. You know, maybe something of that nature. But I do not envision this thing ever getting off the ground again.
Yeah, because it does say on Screen Rant actually has here in Section 31 sequels are greenlit. If the sequel were greenlit, there's no time frame when it would be done. Michelle Wan is highly in demand at the moment, and her fellow cast members like Sam Ritchie and Thing also have acting opportunities. Scheduling Juan for Section 31 cast may prove a bit of a challenge as well. Further, Section 31 was filmed in the Star Trek stage in Toronto, which is now occupied by Star Trek Starfleet Academy, which is filming 2 seasons back-to-back, given an average of 2 years to mount a Star Trek on thing. So we probably wouldn't see a sequel until minimum 2027.
Okay, yeah. Yeah.
I don't know, like, I would love to, but I just, like, this wasn't the strongest way of coming out, and I feel like changing it from a series to a movie, I think you guys just shot yourself in the foot, and I get that COVID pushed it back, and I get that you went, well, this other series is doing well, let's push that as well. But you've just, like, then just wait. I guess that you've probably gone, yeah, but we've only got Michelle Wan for this long. Okay, well, how are you going to better use her? Or can you not delay it and say, listen, can you film something else and come back? We've got a better idea or something, because it just feels like you just went, oh, we've got her, and we screwed the pooch because we've only got her for a section of time. Pretty
much that's what they did. The entire thing went wrong because they did screw themselves on it. And it's not the way, it's the fact is that it could have had legs. that's the biggest disappointment, and that's what, as I said, I spoke to my friend in the UK who's a massive Trekkie fan, and he was like, he said, he just doesn't understand why they went in that direction. But now that you've told me that originally it was meant to be a TV series, I'm like, and I'll tell him tonight, and he'll probably be like, oh, that would have been better, or maybe they've filmed it all as a TV series and they've edited it all into a movie and it just doesn't work, sort of thing. So I reckon he might have a bit more forgiveness in it, sort of thing.
Yeah, because I just felt like it had this kind of thing that I kind of liked about it, and I think the energy and the darkness to it was quite good. It seemed like a slightly more serious version of like a Firefly-esque, where it had that kind of grittiness and stuff. And again, I think it had some legs, but then the problem is you've turned it into this movie and then kind of just, in a way, just kind of screwed the pooch where you're like, now let's rush through it. All the backstories, all the things. Like, obviously, like we spoke about Creature Commandos last time, where each episode obviously also touched on their backstory. Obviously, by the end of their backstories, quite often, or sometimes they did get murdered, but so be it. But it did seem to at least carry this thing. And the one thing about series is you're able to develop the characters a lot quickly, a lot more, especially when there's a group. In a movie, it does make it a little bit hard unless you kind of, they touch on this thing where you just see them having fun, and the first 15, 20 minutes of the movie is just him being a crew and just going about day-to-day stuff. But with this, you didn't develop anything. You just kind of, I don't know, it was just really bad.
Definitely. So anyway, I want to say a big thank you. So definitely, I'm scoring this one. I mean, I'll give it a 2 because it's got Michelle Yeoh in. But yeah,
that's the thing though. When she comes in and she can't save the movie, you're just like, why? But again, I think we kind of know why. It had everything to do with the fact that they just rushed it and changed
honestly,
it.
I can't really give this movie. I can't even get up to nearly halfway, sort of thing. I can't do it. I can't see myself doing it because I was really peed off by the end of it. I was like, that's it. That's it's. I just felt rushed and everything. I was like, nah.
Because I wanted to get your feeling on it, because as most people know, I'm quite positive when I watch movies because I can find the beauty in them and stuff. But with this, if you had told me this was a Kickstarter film, I would have been like, it's great for what it is. But that's what it felt like.
This was an indie movie,
or a fan fiction,
blah, blah,
or something
blah.
like that.
However, and somehow they got Michelle Yeoh in it. I'll be like, yeah, all right. I can see I'd maybe be a bit better with it. I really would.
Yeah.
But no, we're talking about Paramount Plus. These people know Star Trek. No offense, they have a Star Trek. They must have a Star Trek division within Paramount Plus. They surely do.
Or even then, though, chances are they probably just went, okay, you make it, we'll pay for it. But even then, it just feels like it.
Yeah. I know the fact is that it feels like it was a train wreck to begin with, and it's just not gone wrong.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And I think it is harder knowing that it could have been a TV series, and I think that a TV series on this could have been great. And I feel like, have you noticed too, a lot of Star Trek movies, other than obviously the Abrams ones, were just follow-ons from the TV series. So they were just big specials that they want to do for it. And I'm like, your bread and butter is TV series. Do TV series.
Yeah, and that's the thing. So, the fact is that every other Star Trek movie, basically, it gets to a certain point, and then if you watch the movie, it then explains this next jump for the next season. Or it's like, hang on, why is their ship different? And because you have to go back and see this movie and realize the original Enterprise got blown up or crashed into a thing or whatever. So you've got to understand that sort of thing, because otherwise, which is fine. That's not a problem. Whereas this one was trying to do that, but they did it in such a poor manner.
Yeah.
It kind of really doesn't work.
It does. Like, it felt like you rushed through it to say, like, if there was is a Section 1, Season 1, then there was this, like Serenity, and then you came out later with the Section 2, Season 2, you'd be like, okay, so this was, obviously they killed off this cast member or this character, they brought in his wife. Cool, fantastic. And then it goes on with the next mission. But this one just felt like it was one of those, but you had no backstory to be able to go it off.
Absolutely. No, that's literally would have worked, sort of thing.
And that's also why I wanted you to watch it, because I was like, I know what I feel, and I'm normally sugarcoat everything. So I'm like, maybe it's because I don't know enough about this subject matter. Maybe it's this.
Maybe it's, I'm not a Star Trek nerd like Jordan is, so maybe I need his opinion on it. But yeah, the fact is you were dead on the money, brother. You were dead on the money.
Which is sad.
Yeah.
Which is sad.
Aye. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I want to say a big thank you. We'll wrap it up there because I want to give Des a short episode to edit this week. I'm very being generous and being nice. If I do all this nice stuff now, you'll be nice to me at the end of the year. I'm struggling.
That's what I'm hoping. That's what he's hoping. But just one thing before we finish.
Sure.
Michelle Wan, like, you know when they say she's in very much in demand. So this is what she's got in her upcoming. She's got Wicked the Good, which is obviously a sequel to Wicked. She's got Ark, the animated series, where she's just got a voice, which is that dinosaur game that I actually like to play.
Oh, yeah.
She's got Avatar 4 and 5.
Okay.
Blade...
hang on. We haven't had 3 yet, though.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, okay.
So they've brought her in for 4 and 5 as a doctor.
Right.
She has Blade Runner 2099, which is a TV series or a mini-series.
Okay.
And then she's got a movie called The Mother, which is about an immigrant mother is forced to tap into a mystery past to rescue her son from gangsters in Boston. So I'm going to guess that it is going to be like a bit of a badass kind of Michelle Wan kicking ass, taking names kind of thing, kind of like a Michelle Wan version of Taken, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. No,
But she's got one hell of a lineup coming up. So
yeah. Well, I'm actually amazed that she hasn't been pulled back into Marvel yet. Obviously, I know Shang-Chi didn't do that well.
Which is weird. I absolutely loved that film.
I didn't mind Shang-Chi. I know some people don't rate it, okay, but I think it was all right. It wasn't great. It wasn't like I was like, oh my god, you got to see it. But it was all right.
But it was one of the better ones that came out and actually made me want to see it after the whole like TV series debacle of everything. Like, I was just like, oh my god, I'm getting so sick of it, and it made me come back. Plus, obviously, also I'm a massive fan of Hong Kong cinema, so I was like, yes, this is amazing. I can't wait for this kind of thing. But yeah, I don't know. I was well excited with it, and I was like, this is amazing.
Yeah. Anyway.
So
yeah. Anyway, we're going to wrap it up right there, ladies and gentlemen. I want to say a big thank you to everyone who has liked, shared, and subscribed. Please make sure you do follow us on YouTube and Spotify, and yeah, you can drop comments on what you thought of the episodes. Let us know what you thought of this movie, because maybe it is just me being pig-headed. Maybe is there anyone who did actually watch this and thought it was actually decent? I want to know that, and please give me your argument for why it's good, because I'd just like to just understand. Maybe I'm being too true to the original material.
Yeah, because I am interested, because as we said, Jordan obviously knows a lot more about Star Trek than I do. I've watched a few periodically and kind of like, yeah, cool. I liked the vibe of it. I liked the feel of it. I liked where it could have head. But I'm like, it did feel like you've taken this entire series, put it into an hour and a half, but it still felt like a rushed, ill-written 30-minute episode.
Yeah. But yeah. No. So yeah, anyway, ladies and gentlemen, we want to say a big thank you to all our recent likes and shares and subscribers. Please join us again next week. God knows what we're going to talk about.
We'll find something.
Maybe there's stuff just going on all over the place at the moment, so I was trying to pin down a subject, I think, is the problem. But anyway, want to say peace out. Have a good evening. Catch you later, guys.
Layers.